where gun culture meets the gospel. This is Armed Lutheran Radio.
Welcome to Armed Lutheran Radio, a show about guns, hunting, competitive shooting, the natural right of self-defense, and what God's Word says about the issues surrounding gun rights and gun ownership. I'm your host, Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, and this is episode number 348. Thank you so much for making Armed Lutheran Radio a part of your week again this week. This week is our first online hangout of 2023, and for those of you who don't know what that is, once a month we hang out with the cast and members of the Reformation Gun Club, the people who make this show possible. As I mention every week, Armed Lutheran Radio is listener funded, and that means the people like the people you're going to meet tonight are the people who keep the show going. They put their money where their mouth is. They value what we do, and they get some cool perks for it. They get early access to the show, exclusive discounts, access to hundreds of hours of exclusive content on our website, invitations to these monthly online hangouts, and the satisfaction of knowing that they made all of this possible. And if you would like to join them next month, or if you would like to find out more, check it out, armedlutheran.us/gun club, or look for a link in the show notes for this or any of our previous episodes. All right, let's get our members in here. If I can find the doc. Let's see, we've got 8 members, and we're going to bring them in one at a time or all at once. Let's see how this goes. Looky there, some familiar faces.
There we go. Nope, there's Donny.
Donny is with us.
Yep.
And Pastor Newman is back. Hokey Mike is with us. How are you, sir? And Justin is connecting to his audio. Curtis, how are you? Off the road, I see.
Yes, home.
Very good. Awesome. I think there's an order headed your way with some t-shirts, I believe.
Yeah, think so.
Awesome. Those were lovingly packed by my lovely wife earlier this week, and they should be showing up on your doorstep anytime.
Well, thanks to her and you.
You're quite welcome. How is everybody tonight? It's great to see you. It's been a month.
Yeah, it's been more than a month for me.
It has. All right, let's start with the folks that haven't been with us regularly. Pastor Drew Newman is with us, a contributor to Duty to Defend, Volume 2. How are you, and what have you been up to since last we saw you?
Well, we're just getting ready to go on vacation to go down to St. Augustine, Florida, to enjoy some sunshine, get out of this cold weather.
Very nice.
See my daughter and her grandson.
Awesome. We used to vacation in St. Augustine. It was worth the drive. It's a great family-friendly town. It's not. We used to, when I was growing up in North Carolina, the place to go obviously was Myrtle Beach. But if you went at the wrong time of year, it was packed with half-naked teenagers. And so we had to find once we had kids, it was time to find somewhere a little more family friendly. So St. Augustine was the place.
Well, my son-in-law was they were in California. He's a pastor, and he was in Yucaipa, California for 5 years. And they wanted to get out of California.
Don't blame them.
So DeSantis land popped up, and off they went. So now they're residents of DeSantis land.
Very good. I'm sure they're relieved at that.
They are.
Mike, how are you? What is this? Let's see. How long has it been since we had you on here? It's been a minute. Oh, he's muted. Let's see if we can get this unmuted.
Are you referring to me?
Yes.
Oh, actually, I'm first time.
That's what I thought. I was like, has he been on? I'm trying to, I'm like, we've done a bunch of these and I'm thinking, has he been on here before? I could not remember how long it's been. And I guess it's been a long time.
We've communicated via email back and forth.
Yep. So introduce yourself to the group here and tell us a little about what you do for a living and where you are in the world.
Yeah, so I work in the IT industry. I work as a business systems manager, originally from Georgia. Actually, I thought our paths were going to cross a couple of times at a few IDPA events.
Yep.
In that area back before COVID, but they didn't.
I had invites to get down to the Sheepdog CCP Championship in Valdosta.
Okay.
And had planned to make the trip, and then COVID hit, and I haven't been back to the range in I don't know how long.
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm in Alabama now, so I've moved. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find any new clubs. I'm in Decatur, Alabama, outside of Huntsville.
I know some folks down in there. I could probably refer you. I'll do a little research and see if we can find you something, because I know there are clubs down there, and there's one that I can't remember if they hosted there used to be a match down there called the Masters, and I'm trying to remember where that was in Alabama. I'll have to look. Like I say, it's been yonks since I was involved in IDPA, unfortunately. So, but I've got plenty of folks that I know down there. I'll reach out and see what I can find for you.
Well, I was listening to your last podcast where that was one of your goals.
Yeah.
To do that this year. And I almost thought about throwing that as one of my goals, and then maybe trying to hook up in a match in Texas or something where you were at.
That would be great.
Give me an incentive.
We'll sponsor a match and get a bunch of members to come down and shoot.
Well, that's where I'd written you back and forth about putting together one of those nice NASCAR shooter shirts for and
my buddy Zero Sports, Ray Padawaran over in Mississippi he did the Armed Lutheran, the Team Armed Lutheran Radio shooting shirts for us.
Okay.
I got to hit him up once I figure out when I'm going to be back in the swing of things. I'm going to hit him up for a new round of shirts, not t-shirts, and see if we can't make those available to members.
Okay, I'd be happy to kick in on that. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing the swag tonight.
Awesome, that looks great. Very good.
Man, it sounds like Talladega would be a good meetup place. You just have to pick one of the matches,
Yeah, I went. The last big match that I went to was the Nationals or Worlds at CMP in Talladega. That was fantastic. I didn't get to shoot, but I covered it for the old Unload and Show Clear podcast, and that facility is really cool. I had to pry myself away from the pro shop where they had walls and walls full of M1 Garens. So it's a really neat place. Dan, what have you been up to?
Just busy, and closing out a job for the local health, megatropolis, um, that comes to a close here this week, and
Weather had any effect? I don't know. What's the weather been like? My mom.
Raining.
Raining. No, we actually had snow earlier this week.
See that? Yeah.
Like global warming, I guess.
Yeah. What's up with Texas?
Exactly.
They. I have been training some people.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Tuesday night, not really a league, but we do things at our indoor range on Tuesday night that's pointed towards everyday carry, Glock match, IDPA,
But
drills
really
kind
official.
of thing. Yeah, not really official. Like,
Right.
Here the other night we did the FBI qualification course.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was. It actually was. Strong hand, weak hand, right barricade, left barricade, 8 seconds, 8 shots. A lot of things like that, and so we sit there. We said, well, okay. Most of us now qualify to work for the FBI. Okay, so man, I raised my hands. I says, well, man, I will. I'll hinge a seminar into that for morality, legalities and other kinds of things like that, for working for the FBI. And of course,
Using private jets as your
exactly.
You mean lack of morality and lack of knowledge of the law and lack of constitutional understanding.
A shower of paper wads came my way. Yeah.
When I got my carry permit in North Carolina, we shot just as a kind of a baseline test. We shot, I can't remember I don't think it was the FBI. I think it was the North Carolina State Trooper shooting exam, which was interesting. I didn't do very well, but that was years and years and years ago. I would still probably not do very well. Scott, what have you been up to?
Oh, I've had a roller coaster of a couple of months now.
I hear you've got new digs for the business for the gun shop.
Yeah, so I was terminated from Weatherby. I'm no longer gunsmithing for them. Yeah, that's an interesting story. I have secured a location to move my gunsmithing shop to. So it'll be a full retail brick and mortar store. And I've been getting my name out more around town. I've kind of kept myself kind of quiet around town just because I wasn't doing it as many hours.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing it part-time, you don't want too many people to know you're here. But since all this happened, I've been getting my name out there more, and like the floodgates have opened. Good. And awesome. Especially with my Smith & Wesson revolver work. I've had a guy bring 4 of them. Just like, here, do all of them. Okay.
Turn down new business. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on. Sorry to hear about the Weatherby thing, but congratulations on the new place.
Well, God has been providing for us, and we are grateful to Him.
Absolutely. Curtis, what have you been up to? Have you been traveling anywhere interesting?
Yeah, I've been up to the Pacific Northwest, a couple of trips up there because I got a couple of kids up there, so it's always good to go up and see them.
Oh, good. Awesome.
Other than that, been home for about a week, so been working on my latest AR-10 build and goofing off and having fun.
Good deal. Donny, how are you? How was you were getting ready last time we saw you? You were getting ready to take a trip, weren't you?
Well, not the last time you saw me. You know, I'm still waiting for my stuff that I want at the Armed Lutheran. But
well, that's
Scott mentioned he
unfortunate.
lost
You
job
keep
at
talking. I'll
Weatherby,
keep looking.
and I had a friend who worked for Kimber, and when they moved their offices from Kalispell, Montana to Troy, Alabama, he lost his job. Of course, a year ago, I lost my job selling guns, but have a job now with a whole lot less responsibility. Had to make a trip down to St. Louis to my son's car was kind of on the blink. It got repaired. So 2 days before New Year's, I flew down there, picked it up, and drove it back for him. And now it's back down there again running, which is good.
Good.
You know, this used car I bought a year and a half ago for $9,000. I put $5,500 in the past month.
Ouch.
It has a warranty, but guess what? Nothing done yet was covered by the powertrain warranty. So
Of course.
the catalytic converters rusted out on it. That was the biggest thing. So anyway, haven't been doing any shooting. You guys were talking about snow. If you want to see some snow, you can come up.
No. I don't want your snow.
I've been keeping busy, blowing out the neighbors. You know, I don't ask anything, but I've earned about $300 blowing snow just for the neighbors. So that's good. Supposed to be down to about 15 below tonight here. Might not get as cold as they originally said, but I'm busy. This is, believe it or not, in the office supply business, this is one of the busiest time of year. So
Everybody
I'm
tooling up for
tax season.
Yeah.
And
Donny, did you say Kimber moved their rifle production out of Montana?
They didn't have their rifle. They had their sales office in Kalispell.
Oh, okay.
And they've. It's my understanding they've centralized everything in Troy, Alabama now. The gentleman who's in Decatur, just want to let him know that my wife travels for work. She works for a dairy company, and Decatur's one place she goes to. And she was there a couple weeks ago, and the flight was about an hour late leaving because of the tornado that went through there.
Ooh.
Yep,
Nice.
I spent a few times at work in the basement, wait until it passed.
Ooh.
She works for Saputo, if you know what that is.
Doesn't ring a bell for
Heard
me.
of it.
It's Saputo is an international dairy company, and they have an operation in Decatur, and she's a research scientist for them.
Oh, nice. Very good. Justin, who has not got his camera working, how are you?
I am doing well. The reason my camera isn't working is I've dialed in on my phone. I am on the road, traveling. I've actually got a competition I'm shooting in this weekend.
Nice. Tell us more.
It is the winter tactical games. So it's the Kalashnikov's winter thing. 2 gun matches, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday night, we're doing a sponsored night shoot that we're supposed to have a surprise waiting for us. So we'll see what happens there.
Nice. That sounds fun. As long as it's not cold.
Yeah. It's actually supposed to be upper 50s. So not really necessarily cold, but the event organizers sent out an email and said, you know, it's starting to all melt off, but just expect it to be muddy. Everything's going to be muddy and soggy.
Yuck.
Well,
Nothing
that's
better
all right.
than
That's
50
what
degrees
that's
and
what you
soggy.
get here in kind of South Missouri.
Yeah. As long as it's not 50 degrees and raining.
Yeah, it's actually supposed to be nice weather-wise. It's just going to be a slog.
All right. Very good. Are you competing for the Nighthawk custom team or who or
No, not sponsored.
not sponsored?
I tried to see if my manager would let me take something out, but yeah, with SHOT Show, everything was already out, and we're waiting on it all to come back in.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I was asked if I was going to SHOT Show this year, and I was like, "What for?" I've never. I think 1 year early on, I got kind of a hankering, thinking that kind of be fun, and then I saw all the videos and all the people coming back sick, and I was like, I'm not sure that's all that fun.
Well, apparently, it was pretty big this year. I mean, they had expanded over to the Venetian, and I think the CEO was saying something like, by the time you got in the door, it was almost 2 miles, like walking.
Yeah.
By the time you got back to our booth.
Yep. Yeah, I can't imagine. NRA show was big enough. I can't imagine SHOT and all the walking involved. Still, yeah. All right, let's go. For those who are new watching this and don't know what we're doing, it's time to find out what everybody's what adult beverages and so forth that people are partaking of. And Mike has not done this before, so he's going to kick things off. So you've already piqued my interest with the pipe, and you've got a glass there. So what are you partaking of today?
My son bought me some Blue Note.
Crossroads bourbon whiskey. Nice. Okay.
Kentucky, Tennessee, where?
Crafted in Memphis. So
Memphis.
Maybe not the best night to be drinking that, considering the other things that are going on.
Yeah, they can take care of themselves.
But it is, it's quite nice.
Nice.
So
right.
I will have to remember to thank my son and see if he's got any in his cabinet and make sure that makes it over to my house.
And a fellow pipe smoker. So what are you partaking of?
It is called Colt.
Oh yeah, Blood Red Moon. I've had that. I like that. Good stuff. All right, Dan, what are you into today?
Dan, it was a Christmas present called Whistle Pig, 10 years old.
Heard of this?
Yeah, it's supposed to be super duper, the greatest thing, one of the greatest things in the bourbon business.
And what is your review?
I can't get on board with it. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is one of it.
You're
It
usually
has
the
no
Elijah-
nose to it,
Oh.
and its finish. It tastes like dirt.
Ew.
Yeah, like now you read the
sounds
reviews.
delightful.
That's something.
Aren't you usually the Elijah Craig guy?
I am.
So compared to Elijah Craig,
man, I'm going with the cheap stuff.
The Whistle Pig is not cheap, is it?
No,
Yeah, that's expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Okay, now I
be
also
getting them
got
as a
a
sponsor.
bottle of Angel's Envy Rye
Right.
for Christmas. Okay, man, it's like rock and roll.
Isn't that what you were drinking at the December hangout?
Maybe.
I think that was.
I think you're right.
but yeah, I think it's either sherry casks or something. It's finished in sherry casks,
Okay.
Yeah.
something like this. But I'm going with half the money, Angel's Envy for the win.
Gotcha. All
Yeah.
right.
If I remember right, Dad, I think the Angel's Envy is a port wine aged.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Oh,
A port cask finish in it.
nice. I'm a port fan myself, so that sounds nice. Okay. Pastor, how about yourself? What are you partaking of tonight?
I wasn't drinking anything until everybody started talking about it, and then I had to go wet my
I saw the
whiskers.
camera fall over and I thought, all right, he's run to the cabinet.
That's where I was going. Yeah, I went to get a Boulevard Brewing unfiltered wheat.
Ooh,
So Boulevard's a Kansas City brewery.
nice. All right.
The guy
Yes.
started out with about 1987, moved into it, sold his house and moved into a warehouse with his family and started brewing beer. And now it's the second largest brewery in Missouri, behind Anheuser-Busch, of course. But it's
That's
he sold
dedication
it-
right there. You move into the workplace.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
Very good. All right. Scott, how about yourself?
I'm actually abstaining today.
Oh no.
I had stomach surgery back in October, and then our last meet, when I had some
Yikes.
whiskey, I found out it was too soon.
Ooh.
Okay.
So, a few more months.
You are definitely excused. Yes, that does not sound pleasant. Well, I hope you're feeling better and on the mend. So
Oh yeah, things going great.
good.
It's just they told me, wait 6 months before having alcohol, and I'm like, yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
6 months, 6 weeks. What's the difference? Curtis, how about yourself?
Well, I had a bottle of Crown XR on the shelf for
Alright.
quite a while. I was thinking I was going to save it until one of my daughters got married, but I'm not sure that's ever going to happen. So, being as today was my 66th birthday and my wife is over in the Philippines on vacation, I said, I might as well break this bottle open and give it a taste.
Very good. Okay. Well, happy birthday. That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Happy
2
birthday.
years younger than me.
All right. Donnie, how about you? What are you partaking of tonight?
Well, I really wanted to partake of some Trapline Rye from Glacier Distilleries,
Ooh,
but we went to a Italian restaurant for dinner tonight. It's kind of right across the street. It's actually one that's been on the Food Network, and
Okay.
the meatballs were fighting, so I'm just having a little bit of XS energy drink tonight to kind of settle my stomach. Otherwise, I'd be using that.
Okay. All right. We'll expect a report on something next month then.
You betcha.
Justin is driving, so I hope you're not partaking of anything.
I've got a Pepsi here in the cup holder, but that's about it.
Okay. Good. Nothing stronger than that, please, until you get to your destination. I've gone with some weird combination of, this is an Australian ginger beer combined with a Ukrainian vodka. So I don't know what kind of a mule this is, but it's, yeah.
Outback Mule.
I guess
Doesn't vodka kind of go with anything?
It does. This stuff is called Kruto, and it's made in Ukraine, and the company's headquarters are here in Dallas. And after the invasion, I went out and bought a bottle, and it's fairly inexpensive, and it's really, really smooth. So yeah, it does. It goes with everything. So
Hey, I had some
Cheers.
huckleberry vodka, and we made Montana mules, which are huckleberry vodka and ginger beer.
nice. Very good. So, let's see how we doing on time. We got plenty of time. All right. So I guess the big news in the gun world, and I want to get everybody's thought on this. I'll start with you, Scott, and then Justin, since you guys are in the biz. The ATF ruling that came out recently. Get your thoughts on the ruling and what you think is going to happen with it. Scott, I'll start with you.
Well, I'm going to keep my thoughts in the realm of being able to keep my federal firearms license.
Yeah.
And say that the lawyers will sort this out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good one. Good one.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll get to the courts in a stay perhaps before the 120 days? You think it'll move?
I imagine that now the name of the company has escaped me, but the one that does all the braces, SB Tactical.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the ones that did the SIG brace and all that.
Right.
I'm sure that they are already filing in courts. Because we've seen the what they wanted to make as the law before. They tweaked it a little. So I'm sure they had their lawyers lined up, chomping at the bit, saying, okay, this is the finalized one. Let's tweak our thing and send it in. I don't know that it'll have to go to the Supreme Court. I imagine it probably will. I would really like it to, because then it will really bear weight.
Right.
Because there's been a lot of laws that were kicked out of a state, but the ATF still doesn't change them.
And the weird thing here is that it's not even a law. I mean, it's technically, not to get you into any trouble here with the ATF, but this is beyond the purview of a federal agency. They're essentially making law.
Yeah. And it's which, is pretty much every branch of the government right now, except for the one that's supposed to be doing it, which is Congress.
Yeah.
They're too busy sending money to Ukraine.
Or I would actually prefer that the federal government not make any laws. I'd rather they repeal some.
Yeah.
Justin, your thoughts being in the biz, as they say. Do they say that?
I'm kind of in the same boat as Scott there. But I will agree that it's yeah. I mean, it's pretty much all we're talking about at the shop. Yeah. We don't make anything that could be braced, so it's not huge of a concern for us. But it's another one of those instances of what's going to be the repercussions. What is the ATF? How are they going to come to us and say, okay, this is how we are now enforcing these things?
Right. And I correct me if I'm wrong, and I have not read it, so don't kick me in the head if I get this wrong, but I heard I was watching a video that was sort of kind of going through the reviewing the ruling, and if I'm not mistaken, the penalty for possession of an unregistered brace is the same as converting a semi-automatic firearm to an automatic firearm.
Yeah, so basically you'd be guilty of possession of a short-barreled rifle, which is a violation of the violation. Yeah, it'd be a violation of the the whatever Firearms Act, which is the same violation as converting a gun to full auto.
Crazy.
Okay. Can y'all bring me up to speed on this, okay? Because I haven't really been paying attention to this brace thing a lot. But so what I understand is like it's a cuff that goes around your arm, and
so it's designed as, you're correct. It's designed as a cuff that goes around your arm so that you can brace an AR type pistol and have better control over it. Because its design mimics the look of a buttstock, people often use it as a buttstock.
People who are not disabled.
Yeah, people who are not disabled. And, a few years ago, the ATF passed a ruling that, it's okay, you can have that, but if you shoulder it, you've now violated the law.
Which was the most asinine ruling.
Yeah.
Like,
because they can't pass a law on how you use something. I mean, it was the stupidest thing.
Okay.
That got thrown out in the courts. And
then they were good with them for a while, right? I mean, they were
good with them for a while. And it's just it's not
this
your
has been
average
going back and forth for about a decade now.
Yeah. 2012 was the original ruling. Is that right?
Well, you've answered my question. It's kind of a solution looking for a problem.
Well, I mean, it basically, the stupidity of having minimum lengths on rifles. This was the better mousetrap to get around that.
It brings to light, it kind of shines a light on how stupid the NFA's rules on short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns are.
It's just like, when Black Ace Tactical started making shotguns with 12-inch barrels and calling them a gun. And because they were never a shotgun, you didn't convert anything, so it was perfectly legal. And then Remington and Mossberg jumped on board. It's like, I didn't know we could do it that way.
Right.
So, and it's just,
so
it's
you want
just
to
the
get
dumbest of
shockwaves
things.
and all that.
I started to say that's how we got the shockwave, right?
Yeah. So, honestly, I think this whole thing is eventually going down the road of, I hope it goes as far as somebody contesting the entire NFA and taking it to the Supreme Court.
It really makes, because it really makes no sense. That rule absolutely makes no sense, especially when you consider the rationale for it in the first place was the worry about concealable firearms. Well, the most concealable firearm is a handgun.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, we're all pro-gun people. We understand the fact that regardless of what law you're going to make, the criminals are going to have whatever gun they want.
Yep.
And
the NFA dates to 34, right? 1934?
Yeah. They were going after things because, the gangster era, Al Capone, Bonnie and Clyde, who used to take Browning A5s and chop them down, and BARs and chop those down.
Great.
And carry them under their trench coats. And it's like, it's just another example of basing laws on what is essentially a rare event.
Yeah.
And it's just an end run way to try to get a registry, because what you have to do, Dan, is if you own one of these things, you have to now, to avoid being in violation of the law, you have to register it as a short-barreled rifle.
Yes, you have to file a Form 2 to do a short barrel rifle. It has to be approved in 120 days from when they release when the new ruling comes into effect, which, considering that their record time on a Form 2 right now has been 9 months.
Yeah. When I did mine was it was,
and that's with the current
when
level of work that they're doing. And so now you have, 3 million people that need to file a Form 2.
And that's a minimum number too, right, Scott?
Yeah. What's that?
Isn't that 3 million kind of the low end of the estimate?
That's very low end.
Because ATF even admits that it's probably between 3 and 7.
Yeah. But I mean, just think about, if they got flooded with 3 million people that were filed that paperwork. I mean, I honestly think we should all go do it just to shut them down, because they'd have to shut down. They'd have to be like, okay, we can't do this. We're going to have to repeal it just because we can't comply with our own rules.
We can't handle the workload. We'll convert some of those 87,000 IRS agents to process Form 2s or whatever.
That'd make things go smoother, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Man, I wish I had this kind of leeway, man. In my world, we have to major on the majors and minor on the minors.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, man, anything government, it's like, well, what are we going to do today?
Yeah.
We'll throw a bunch of money at it.
They expect you to follow the letter of the law to the T, but they will fudge it and change it when it suits their whims.
Yeah, and try and get 3 of them to agree on what the law is.
Right. Yes, exactly.
I mean, anybody that's ever submitted a question to the ATF for a ruling. I submitted a very simple question almost 3 years ago, and I'm still waiting for the official answer.
Well, and the questions that were submitted in the early days of the brace thing, they had all kinds of crazy answers that were contradictory, and they finally decided we better come up with a ruling on this because none of us really knows how to answer these questions.
Yeah.
And then their answer was, yeah, they're okay, but you can't shoulder it, which was just the stupidest answer.
Yeah.
So
I submitted a question when I got my federal firearms license, and the ATF agent came to do their inspection and interview.
Yep.
Cool guy, like him a lot, really easy to work with. But he was going over what I can and can't do as a gunsmith. And one of the questions I brought up is like, okay, well, one of the things that I commonly get asked to do is like a restoration on like an old military gun, like say a Mauser. Somebody wants it refinished and all that. Well, sometime in the polishing and all that, the serial number can get removed. Okay. Because you're trying to get pits and stuff like that out. Now, what I was taught in gunsmithing school, that the proper procedure is to, before you start work, move the serial number someplace that's not going to be polished, usually on the bottom side of the receiver, so that it's still on the gun. Do your polishing and then reestablish it back to the same spot.
Okay. Seems reasonable.
And so I wanted to confirm that that's the proper, because some of the things he said made me question that. It's like, well, wait a minute, what about this situation? He's like, I didn't think of that. So he took the question back to his office and asked a few people, asked like 4 different people, and got like 4 different answers. As whether you had to have a manufacturing license or just a general firearms license as a gunsmith. And so he said, well, I don't know. I'm going to have to submit this for official clarification. I'm like, okay.
Because they're not allowed to think.
Yeah, 3 years and I'm still waiting for an answer.
Maybe he'll forget and we can just move on.
And then and then I realized it's like, you know what? It really doesn't even matter, because they aren't going to know where the serial number was originally anyways. Because I recently got a Husqvarna Mauser in 9.3 by 57.
Oh.
9.3 by 57.
Yeah.
We had one where I worked.
Yep. And I pulled it out of the serial number on that gun is actually stamped. The visible serial number is stamped on the barrel. I pulled it out of the stock, and lo and behold, there's a serial number that's stamped on the bottom side of it as well. And I'm like, that's what made me realize, like, they're never going to know where the original serial number was anyways.
Yeah. And especially when you're talking about restoring an old, particularly European made military firearm.
Yeah.
But they serialize it all over the place in some cases.
Yeah.
Mausers particularly are like serialized out the wazoo.
Yeah, and if you get some of like the Eastern Bloc and Turkish and stuff like that, where there were no actual numbers as a serial number.
Right.
It's all in some Cyrillic, thing that's like, okay, I'm sure that's it. I can't tell you what that is.
Right.
Like an Aristaka.
Yeah.
I sold a couple of those.
Yep. Yeah, like you get an Aristaka and it's like, okay, yeah, there's some Chinese characters or Japanese characters on the side there. It's like, I'm sure those are numbers.
Probably. Maybe.
I don't know what they are.
All right. What else is going on gun-wise? Why does Biden keep talking about the assault weapons ban like he thinks he's got the votes to actually do something on this? Here's the interesting thing. He keeps talking about an assault weapons ban and how he got it done back when he was in the Senate. And he did it once, he's going to do it again. And then we have 2 mass shootings in California where they have absolutely the worst gun laws in the world, well, not in the world, but in the United States, the worst gun laws from our perspective, the best or the toughest gun laws. And both of the mass shootings were with handguns and committed by people in their late 60s and early 70s, which is completely weird demographic for your typical mass shooting. How can you think that passing another gun law is going to fix things when now we've got elderly gentlemen, Asian gentlemen, that's really out of the demographic, showing up and shooting people with handguns?
Yeah, but they were white supremacists.
They're white Asians. That's right.
Yep.
And then they have the governor taking and lecturing the Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
I mean, we all know that it has nothing to do with stopping crime.
No.
I mean, put it to you. Here's a good one. This is what happens with gun laws and criminals, actual criminals. Okay. Gun shop that I used to work at down in Colorado has been broken into several times. One of the last times they were broken into, they actually caught the guy with the guns, with 2 of the guns. They let him out on probation. No time served.
Right.
Now, my whole thing is like, well, he just had
serious
possession
about gun
of the
crime or not? Right.
And my whole thing is like, listen, if you're not going to punish the actual criminals, because I mean, look, there's only 2 reasons. You don't break into a gun store to steal guns just to take your son hunting. Okay.
Shoot those deer.
If you're going to break into a gun store to steal guns, you're going to do 2 things with it. 1, you're going to use them to kill somebody, or 2, you're going to sell it to somebody who's going to use it to kill somebody.
Yep.
Prime.
So why are we so light on those people? And then when some elderly guy shoots a criminal stealing his trailer out of his backyard, we want to run him through the ringer.
It's virtue signaling.
It is not about safety, security, or anything like that. It's about control.
Never has been.
Yeah.
William is here. Where are you, William?
Oh, I'm back home. I was going to call you
very
from the
good.
car, but I got so much grief last time. I was like, no, I'll just drive. Also, I forgot these headphones, so it would have been kind of a disaster.
That would have been disastrous. Justin is driving, so he's taking your spot on the road.
All right.
What are you up to, and what have you been doing since last we saw you, and what are you imbibing? Avalor.
So little Abelard, I brought this bottle back from Scotland.
Single malt.
Yeah, I brought this bottle back from Scotland.
Well,
And
yum.
So I'll be enjoying it in a Glencairn here shortly.
Very nice.
Got a new job, it's been a rough year. I've had several jobs this year, but working for a bicycle company that makes carbon frames here in the States, and it's an uphill battle. There's just a lot to do. There hasn't been someone in this role dedicated for 4 months now, so everything's behind. I filed 1099 today. I was so proud of myself. So, but yeah, it's been an uphill battle. But so just home. And so last time we were on the phone, I was in DC with my wife for our anniversary.
Right.
Now we're just back. We don't have much travel planned.
And you were in the car with the kids when we were together last, right?
No, 2 times ago
That was 2 times
yes.
back. Okay.
Yeah. The last time I was in DC with my wife. That was a much calmer. The kids were here with Grandma and Grandpa. We were over in DC. So that was different. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, congratulations on the new gig, I think. Right?
Thank you.
Okay,
thank you.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And cheers to William's new gig. And
Congratulations.
Curtis's birthday.
Kindly.
So
happy born anniversary.
all right. So anybody want to chime in on the brace thing or the or President Houseplant and his constant begging for banning assault weapons?
I like the one you did.
They're tactical weapons.
Right.
I like
Tactical.
I like the one you said earlier that there was, I guess one of the Republican congressmen was being interviewed, and he had stated that he wants to do a flat tax instead of the crappy system that we have now. And it was just an interview comment. It wasn't that they were actually working on the bill or anything like that. And Biden already came out. It's like, oh, if they put that through, I'll veto it. It's like, of course you would.
Yeah.
And he whispered it too.
Yeah, he whispered it, so you knew he was serious.
He was serious.
Yeah.
And then that's
Biden
when
says,
his wife had to take him behind somewhere and change his diapers because they started asking him hard questions.
I didn't see that, but I saw a headline that she kind of whisked him away from questions. What was that?
Yes, they were asking him about his document security.
Oh, yes.
And so she had to whisk him away. And it's like, you're not answering those questions. Come on, come back up here. Yes, come. It's like,
he had no idea.
You got to go take him and change his diaper now?
Yeah, he had no idea what they were asking anyway. You could tell by the look on his face.
That's most of the time.
He was about to ask for an ice cream.
It's so embarrassing.
If you have not seen that, you need to watch that. It was pathetic. It was like she was walking a 2-year-old that was completely lost.
Because that's not the first time she's
That's a very apt analogy,
right? I mean, there was that time on the balcony when on the open mic, you could hear her tell him to wave, and then there was the incident with the guy in the Easter bunny suit at the egg roll, and he panicked because he thought the Grim Reaper had come for him or something.
But at his age, I mean, that would be something you would panic about.
The look on his face when he turns around and sees the Easter bunny is the funniest thing I think I've ever seen.
Harvey, you're real.
I actually think the most comical thing he's done recently was when his sit-down discussion with Kamala Harris, and it's almost like and I'm sure it is. It's probably like the first time they've been in the same room since he became president.
Did she talk about Venn diagrams? She loves Venn diagrams.
And it's like, wow, are you guys this desperate to stroke your own egos?
Yeah, really.
Did you hear that the new Corvettes are coming out with a compartment to keep classified documents in?
It's probably more secure.
Oh my gosh. Every time they turn around, more documents are turning up. Yeah, I think
I haven't been following it, and I've been hearing how bad it is. So yeah.
Okay, now answer me this.
Mm-hmm.
What? Okay, we're turning up all of these documents, man. It appears to me that the Democratic Party is throwing him under the bus.
Finally.
Oh, they totally are.
Okay, now
just
why?
Like they went after Mike Pence. It's just like they went after Mike Pence.
They are scared to death that he is actually going to run for re-election.
Yeah.
Because he is so grossly unpopular and he is so grossly incompetent. But the problem is they don't have a bench.
Just gross.
Yeah, it is gross. That's very true. They don't have a bench though. nobody who is a potential successor is even remotely popular or competent. I mean, Kamala Harris got 1% of the vote in her home state in the primaries, and was only chosen because of her race and her gender. Then you've got Pete Buttigieg, butt gig, who is possibly the most incompetent transportation secretary in our.
Hey, but he was a mayor of a whole city, man.
Oh my God.
Yes. His qualifications for transportation secretary are that he was mayor of Evansville and he's gay, and that's it. So everybody on the bench they're all chosen for intersectional reasons.
Yep.
And right, I mean,
oh God,
which box do they check?
Hey,
right?
I am totally in support of Nancy Pelosi running for president.
Oh please. Oh please. I really want Hillary to run again. That would be just glorious. That would be fantastic.
I'm certain it was on NPR. I mean, I'm driving along, hitting the buttons, and just happened to land on NPR for 30 seconds, and it was Michelle Obama was the front runner of
and that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, it was some kind of a poll or well, where does it stand now? I mean, if who are the Democrats going to run?
Nobody on that side has enough popular support to actually win a general. There's no way that Hillary or what's her name from Massachusetts, the fake Indian lady,
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas.
I honestly,
or
thinking
Bernie
about
Sanders, none of them are going to win.
How about Gretchen Wilbur? Gretchen. I was kidding, folks.
I don't even know who this person is.
Seriously, thinking about it strategically, I would say former governor of Colorado, Gray Davis. No, I'm sorry, not Gray. What was his name?
Jared Polis.
Are you thinking Hickenlooper?
Or
yes, Hickenlooper. Or current governor of California.
Gavin Newsom wants to be president like nobody's business.
Yeah.
He is so sleazy and greasy. It's not even funny.
Come on, more sleazy and greasy than Biden?
Well, as far as the hair goes, yeah, there's definitely more stuff going on there.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Biden's just incompetent, but
yeah.
Gavin Newsom is evil. Like, and that's my state. That's where I grew up. That's what I fled.
Yeah, that's where I grew up too.
And I absolutely despise the man. And virtually every public thing he stands for.
Yeah, but I could see either Hickenlooper or Newsom being the Republican ticket. I mean, the Democrat ticket.
Oh, I was going to say.
Yeah.
My prediction.
Go ahead, Mike.
My prediction for the headlines is they're going to pin the confidential documents on Buttigieg. He was in charge of transportation. I think.
Yeah, he dropped him off in the garage.
And the dark horse for the president is going to be Stacey Abrams.
Oh my gosh.
She is president of the universe, after all.
Well, I mean,
does anybody know what I'm talking about when I said that?
Yes, the Star Trek.
Yeah. Star Trek Discovery had her do a cameo appearance as president of the universe.
Well, has our government not gone to the dark side of the universe?
Pretty much. Pretty much. And Biden is, I mean, if you throw a robe on him, he could pass as, the Emperor Palpatine, except that he's can't remember what he's doing. Or
I think you just denigrated Emperor Palpatine.
I think I probably just insulted the Sith Lord. Yes, I'm in trouble.
They need to get control of the mail-in ballots and the drop boxes. Until they get control of those, there ain't nothing that's right.
Well, that's the thing, is you got to define they, because it's not federal government's job. I mean, the states need to do that.
I agree.
And we don't have drop boxes here in Wyoming, and we require identification to vote.
We came pretty close to having drop boxes pretty much everywhere if that right to vote bill had passed, because that was going to federalize everything, and all the state laws, the election laws, would have been just out the window.
Well, so most of the states would have fought that. At least most of the conservative ones, because they can't do it that way. They have to amend the Constitution.
Yeah, that would have been tied up in the courts pretty quick, I think.
Yeah.
But the whole purpose of that was, we want to make sure, like Curtis is saying, they want those drop boxes.
Yeah.
They want as much mail-in balloting as possible.
Yeah, they want to make sure they can cheat.
Yeah. That's
exactly.
Yeah. It's the government election cheating bill.
Yeah.
Well, it's an easy way for the illegals to vote as they walk their way across the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just hand them a ballot as they cross the border.
Right. They fill it out.
With you, fill it out wherever you end up.
Right. Show them what the box looks like, what they need to check.
I mean, I've gone as far to check the voter rolls in California where my father is buried.
Just to make sure he's not on the
Democrat.
Man, I have done the same thing. I've done the same thing, when I go in to vote, man, I ask them, has Steve Rushing been in? And man, they check. And
keep him honest.
No, he's not on the list. Okay, good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I feel better now.
Yeah. Something that came up this week for those of us who are Missouri Synod Lutherans. You've probably heard of the new annotated large catechism that was released by CPH this week.
Released and stopped
by President Harrison. So there's been quite a bit of scuttlebutt about what's in it and what's not, and the language that's been used in it, and the snippets that have been circulating out of context don't look good, but we don't have any context because all the people who are sharing the snippets don't have the full text.
I am getting the full text.
I have the full text. I won't say where I got it because I'm not going to rat out my source. But next week, we're going to have a live Clinging to God and Gun show on YouTube. Okay. And we are going to go through the annotations for the Fifth Commandment, which have stirred a little bit of controversy because supposedly there's a line or two in there that seems to indicate a less than warm position on self-defense. So we thought we would go through the text.
There's also some Third Commandment issues, from what I understand.
There's a lot of there's a lot of Sixth Commandment stuff.
Yep.
There's but
one of the contributors, I did find that one of the contributors is an ELCA pastor.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like that. How is that allowed?
I'm not sure how that.
I mean, I don't even care. I don't even care where he theologically stands. If he's one of the conservative ones, if he's one of the conservative ones, then he needs to go to the Missouri Synod and leave the ELCA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no reason that
it's worse than that he was an ELCA pastor. It's a little bit worse from what I understand.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, he's also suggested something fairly heretical in something he wrote. I don't know the entire source of it. I've seen it quoted. Our friend Pastor Larry Bean has written an article about it. The Reverend Richard Bolland has also spoken out about it on Facebook. So we've been surreptitiously acquired a PDF copy of it. And
yeah, that's what I'm getting.
And so we're going to go through the Fifth Commandment parts next week. It's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday night, and it'll be live. So you guys can join in, comment. We've never actually done that before, so that should be an adventure.
I will be there because I'm also our voting layperson for the convention.
Okay.
So this is like part of the prep work of things, like
right. Get
I
ready to rumble.
Yeah, as prepping for this convention, I actually listened to the entire last convention, 2019. That is no small feat.
I started to say that doesn't sound like that was a
that's a big job.
Yeah, it was. And there were several issues where I was like, wow, a lot of our stuff seems to put it politely, lack backbone.
Yeah. And
a lot of the statements and confessions that they want to put forth in the conventions, I'm like, that just lacks backbone.
It used to be said about non-denominationals, at least in people I knew back in the day, non-denom means non-committal. Sounds like you guys are trending toward that way as well.
The world has a way of creeping its way into everything good. And
yeah, well, anytime a bureaucracy gets too big,
and there's that,
you're going to have that issue.
Yeah.
We had at our Missouri district convention, we had they brought up an article discussing the gender issues, and they wanted to turn it over to the Commission on Theology and Church Relations. And there was a delegate who stood up at the microphone, and he said, we have a number of gender fluid people in our congregation. And we went, what? And because of the way the convention's set up, nobody really knew who this guy was, and he sat down, and that was kind of the end of it. But when people stand up and make those kinds of remarks,
it's one thing to have them coming to church and hearing God's word and hoping that they're going to change their ways. It's another to suggest that they're members of your congregation. That's
well. Here's the thing, and you really have to leave that to pastoral care, because I have no issue with them being a member of the congregation. I have no issue with them coming to church. I would trust in my pastors to say, and I've seen this take place, that person can no longer commune at the communion rail,
right,
until they repent.
True. As an elder in the denomination.
Yeah.
I'm an elder.
So am I, yeah. But yes, that's I have no issue with them. I want them to come to church because that's the only place they're going to hear the truth. I have issues when they try to change church rules and policies because they think what they're doing is okay.
I'll have to ask my son, because one of his good friends is the son-in-law of the Missouri district president. They went together to CPH on Tuesday, I think it was.
Oh, to get copies of the.
I don't know what they were doing there. He bought something small. Let's just put it there. But seminary. His account is tight of mine, and I know when he spends money. Hagen. Yeah, Dr. Hagen is son-in-law is a good friend of my son.
Okay.
Dr. Hagen is the district president in Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, and I saw the statement that President Hill put out, and that he's asking them to stop distribution of it until he can review the review process for this. And I'm like, why would it even get that far?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you're going to review the review process, okay, that means heads need to roll. People need to leave. that the fact that this book was able to make it to this point.
Well, the way that it operates is they get somebody to write, they hire people to write, and then they send it to the doctrinal reviewers, and the doctrinal reviewers review it, and then it goes back, and then it sometimes can go back and forth. But ultimately, once the doctrinal reviewer says it's okay, that they don't investigate it a whole lot further than that. So, you know, with a bunch of different authors,
that tells me those doctrinal reviewers need to be canned.
Well, I don't know who they are. They're supposed to remain anonymous. But
that's probably the part of the problem too.
Oh, it probably could be. Yeah. Well,
man, good luck to y'all here.
Yeah,
man, I have fought these battles all my life. You know, I'm a cradle Episcopalian.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a losing battle. And I was born and raised a Methodist. And you see where that's gone over this.
I was raised in the Baptist church.
Over many of these same issues, the Methodist church is now completely split.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's, you know, if they don't start controlling some of this, that's what's going to happen. I mean, it's already been talked about, the Wyoming district splitting off and being our own synod. Nothing official yet, but I mean, it's definitely a conversation going around.
Right.
Well, for what it's worth, when Kieschnick was president, Richard Boland and I and Clint Poppy and a number of people who are still in the synodical bureaucracy, we started that group called the ACELC, Association for Confessing Evangelical Lutheran Congregations.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
We got crap from everybody about it. All of the pastors said, hey, you know, we have a good, solid confessional Lutheran president now. Everything is going to be fine. And it's just, we didn't get any support. We're still in existence, and we're still getting crap from people because they keep saying, oh, we don't really have a problem. You know, well, we do have a problem.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you spent any time in any of the Lutheran Facebook groups and you just read some of the stuff that, like, they talk about, other Missouri Synod churches are talking about what they're doing in their churches. And the people, you know, there are Missouri Synod churches where women are preaching.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, what? That's strictly against the rules, but they get away with it.
And the synod doesn't seem to enforce any kind of discipline in that respect, from what I've gathered.
And I think part of the problem is that when they try to handle things, they do so anonymously, and they don't bring it to everyone's attention. And I think that's wrong. I think they need to bring that stuff to synod-wide attention so that everybody can be correcting it.
Well, that's biblical, right? You go to them first.
Yep.
And then if they don't straighten up, then you make it public.
Yeah.
Within the church. But then it ends up public.
Anytime things are allowed to be happening in anonymity, it's the devil's workshop. If people are not accountable for what we preach, teach, and confess, the devil is the one holding the reins.
Yep.
Well,
spoken like a true Lutheran.
Maybe what they should do is go back and read Corinthians 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I will tell you, Lloyd, your show is an influencer. From my standpoint, I was raised LCA Lutheran.
Okay.
Drifted away from it for many years. I stumbled across the Arm Lutheran show through Unload and Show Clear, through my shooting hobbies.
Okay.
And joined because I liked what you guys were talking about, and got the nice patch and threw that on my fisherman's protective IDPA vest.
Right. The fisherman's vest.
And thought, you know what? I need to go back into the Lutheran Church, and ended up joining a Wells Synod for a while until we moved to Alabama. And now I've since transferred over to Missouri Synod. So
Awesome.
that influenced my wife and I to get active in the church again.
Well, that is awesome. I am humbled to hear that. That's fantastic. God be praised. That's
Well,
terrific.
As Dr. Scare would say, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, brother.
So you can extend that for the other people on your team, Mia, and the rest of them. They had an impact on me as one person.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I can't tell you how much that means to hear. To know that we're doing something that people, and especially, I mean, the grief that I got on the shooting side about, promoting the armed Lutheran sometimes, it's nice to know that it worked out, at least in your case, and that's fantastic. That is fantastic.
So thank you.
Welcome home.
Yeah.
Did you get grief from the shooter side or the Lutheran side?
The shooter side.
Oh, that they weren't happy with you promoting Christ?
You would be amazed at how many people in the pro-gun community are anti-Christian.
Interesting.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's
like the community at large.
The community at large is conservative overall.
Yeah.
But there also is a pretty sizable contingent that are not pro-Christian values.
Yeah.
They may be conservative in their political leanings, but don't talk to me about that sugar daddy in the sky. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the reaction that you'll run into. Which
Yeah,
is another reason that I avoid some of the pro-gun stuff and mingling amongst the pro-gun community at large, because you run into a lot of that. Although at the same time, that's probably where I ought to be.
Yeah,
right?
I get what you're saying. A recent issue, not very recent, maybe 3 or 4 issues back, of Recoil magazine had an article about a porn star that was pro Second Amendment, and I'm like, I'm happy she's pro Second Amendment, but does this need to be our banner girl?
Exactly.
Can't we find somebody like Mia to be our banner girl?
Yeah, and that tells you a lot about the pro-gun community spans a lot of different spectrums, right? So there's, and I get this, and I'm in favor of this, because we've got to grow the 2A community to beyond just conservatives, or the Second Amendment dies, right? So the more liberals, the more gay and transgender people, the more atheists, the more whatever, porn stars that are supportive of the Second Amendment, great. But I'm like you, I get a little leery when we hold some of those people up as exemplars.
Yeah.
Taryn Butler is a perfect example. If everybody he still shows up and everybody's lining up to talk to him at SHOT Show. Yeah. But he is one of the worst examples of the pro-gun community.
Yeah.
And yet that's part of the face. And that's not a look that I like.
Yeah. And it's
not in keeping with it's just not. Set aside the Christian stuff, set aside our faith, set aside our religious beliefs. It's creepy and yuck, right? So that I'll give you an example of, and this is kind of this is more innocuous, but it's certainly not the sexually creepy like the porn star or Taryn Butler. So I'm watching I mentioned earlier I was watching a video about kind of laying out the new brace ruling from the ATF and talking about what the effects will be and what we can do to counter it and what he expected things would happen. I'm not going to mention names, but at one point, remember earlier I talked about how the ruling was that the penalty for being in possession of the brace is the same as making a fully automatic machine gun illegally.
Yeah.
Right. It's whatever the penalty. What is it? 10 years in prison, $100,000 or something like this.
Yeah.
Same thing. The way he couched is, and so when I mentioned that earlier, I'm thinking that doesn't make any sense just proportionally, right?
Yeah.
As a guy with a pistol brace is not the same.
That was perfectly legal 2 months ago.
Is not the same as a guy who's illegally converting a gun to fully automatic.
Yeah.
The way that this was presented, and this guy is a very popular YouTuber in the gun sphere, he said, I'm not giving you any legal advice, but just understand that the penalties are the same. Do with that as you will. So you're basically, with a wink and a nod, you're telling millions of people, because he has millions of followers, that, hey, go ahead and use that drill press and fix your AR and make it an automatic weapon. It's the same penalty as if he was, I know he was trying to be funny, but it comes across as, look, there's a guy that's the gun community. They're suggesting you break the law.
Yeah.
It's winking and nodding at the law and trying to suggest and trying to, I don't like it when we play those little games or we put those sorts of things forward where it makes the rest of the gun community look bad.
Yeah.
I don't care what your political views are. I care about your views on religion. I want you to be saved, but at the same time, I don't want the devil worshiper to be the face of the gun community.
Yeah.
I don't want the porn star to be the face of the gun community. I don't want the guy who's winking and nodding at making automatic weapons to be the face of the gun community.
So Lloyd,
yeah.
Maybe I'm just out of the loop, but the only thing I know about Taryn Butler is he trained Keanu Reeves when he did the John Wick thing, and
Taryn Butler got caught on video grooming one of the gun girls to.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a womanizer.
Okay.
Big time.
Okay. This is the very first time I've heard that. So I'd only ever heard, good things about his tactical and training ability.
Yeah.
I knew nothing else about other than,
those things are all true.
Yeah.
And he's a fantastic shooter.
Okay.
And that's part of the problem, is that too much in the gun industry, we focus only on the work and we don't focus on the people doing the work.
Well, that's the same general complaint that I hear from a lot of my friends who would call themselves apolitical, but they're solidly on the left, and that's their big beef. Well,
it's like
a big beef about Trump, because he's no savior to any of us. He just happened to side with conservatives on a lot of things, even though he was a liberal only a few years ago. So
right.
But then, I could say the name Dave Kiff, and I'd be surprised if any of you know who that is.
I don't.
Dave Kiff is the owner of Pacific Tool and Gauge. They make reamers and tools for the gun industry. Just about every manufacturer buys reamers from them. They make actions for several different manufacturers. He is a wonderful Christian man. and just a wonderful Christian man with a heart of absolute gold.
Yeah. We have plenty of those people in the community. It just seems like too often the ones who become the face of the community or who garner the biggest followings are not those people. And I won't name any names beyond Taryn Butler. But you can figure it out. Just go on YouTube. Yeah. All right. So I think we've run a bit past our scheduled hour. So I want to thank you guys for sticking around and coming and joining for our first hangout for 2023. I hope Wednesday or Thursday's live show will be fun and not a complete technical disaster like like the December online hangout. So we'll be live on YouTube. I got to square this with figure out which day it will work for the pastor. He was not able to join us tonight because he is under the weather, and so he was going to bed early, and I don't blame him. So prayers and well wishes for Pastor Bennett tonight. But I'm thinking probably Wednesday or Thursday will be live on YouTube, and I will send you everybody notice when that's going to happen exactly once I confirm with him, and hopefully that becomes a regular thing.
Peter took and sent his greetings out to everybody. He wasn't surprised that we had the discussion tonight, and Harrison, all he can do, he said, is remove it from the shelves at CPH. Officially, nothing can happen on it until the Synod meets.
Okay. All right. And there were people who were blaming CPH for it, and it's not their fault. It's they publish what they're given to publish, and they don't. It's not up to them to review the doctrine that's in the books that are published. That's for the Synod to do. So we'll say hello to Peter and tell him hopefully he can join us in a future hangout.
He's in a good mood tonight because the Concordia Seminary preachers won big time over a Baptist Bible College from Indiana.
Okay.
And he's the manager and gets paid for it. So he had to go back a week early, but he's doing good. Just also want to mention that on the 9th of February, I'm having surgery on the end of my nose.
Well, we will
got
keep
a little basal cell there.
Yeah, so that should be a real quick Mohs surgery. Nothing. It's not. I mean, other than getting your nose chopped off a little bit, it's not invasive. They're not opening you up.
I know. Last year it was supposed to be a quick one on my ear, and it was 7 hours.
Oh goodness!
Was that a basal or a squamous?
That might have been a squamous, but they didn't. Normally they just take one off. They took two off, and there's a lot of just sitting around.
Yeah, I used to be the guy in the back room cutting the slides. So they'd bring me the tissue, and I'd cut it up and put it on slides, and yeah, the squamous sclerosis in all these weird different directions, and sometimes it's like a long tendril. You're like, where did that come from? So hopefully this is just basal and nothing more.
Yeah, well, this is my third one of these, so
we'll
it's getting to be old hat, and I hate to go see the dermatologist every year, but it's good though.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
Yeah.
And pray for my back this weekend because my daughter's got volleyball tournament for Saturday and Sunday, and it's in a place where last year absolutely obliterated my back because they have nothing but bleacher seats. So prayers for back strength and no back pain.
Stand up.
Take an inflatable donut.
Right, exactly.
That's no joke. Do that.
Yeah. Last year when we were there for, fortunately it was this year it's 2-day tournament. Last year it was 1 day. So we got there at 7 a.m, started playing at 8, they made it all the way to the finals, and we were leaving at almost 8 o'clock at night, and I could not roll out of bed the next morning. So
Goodness.
I ordered those little bleacher seats with the back, that you slide on there, like very next day, because I could not walk. So thank you guys for hanging out. This is always fun. And Mike, I'm glad you got to join us for the first time. It's good to see you. And Justin, please drive safely, whatever you're doing, and don't drink anything more stronger than Pepsi. Pastor, great to have you back. And William, it's good to see you as well. Good to see all of you guys. And congratulations, Curtis, on your birthday. Scott, on the new place.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And Donny will be praying for you on the procedure.
Yeah.
And
Speed, lads.
Yep. Thank you all. Have a great night, and we will talk to you again next time.
Shalom.
All right. Take care.
All things.
Good night.